There's 18 rare heroes that you can be using in the good old Godforge Alpha Wave 3 experience, and you're probably wondering which one of these are the best ones that you can be using in your game. You're probably thinking, is this hero OP, or can I actually just use him as food or an imprint on my main team to push up and absolutely demolish and clear the Alpha Wave 3 experience, and obviously do some damage to your Fafnir? Well, that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. I'm going to go through all of the 18 rare heroes, so it might be a little bit of a long one, but I am going to break it down to what's OP, what's the food heroes, what's the imprint heroes that I used in order to complete, obviously, all 151 stages and get 6th place, obviously, in the competition, which I need to say thank you to you guys, because obviously making that video, obviously putting it out there, all of the congratulations and obviously big messages saying for someone that's new, that doesn't play Raid Shadow Legends or Ethereal Restart and doesn't really play these games, to achieve 6th place and in the top 10 finishers is outstanding. So I want to say thank you for all those messages and thank you to this amazing community that we have here in the Godforge 1. So with that, let me do my job. Let me do my work. Let me basically explain this. So what I'm going to do is actually explain 5 heroes that you can be using as food, basically, as food and optional material for other scenarios first, because I think that makes a lot more sense, so you can get those guys out of the way and kind of know, okay, I can power up my main team. So the first 5, these 5 heroes: Bork, Minotaur, Vlok Dalak, Kate Sith, and yes, Icarus. All 5 heroes can be used early game as food for your team. This is basically heroes that can be used as 3-star spirits and actually level up your commanders, so you're actually doing some better damage in the floor progression. And the thing is, each one of these heroes actually have some use case scenarios. Icarus is actually a good hero in your team early if you have pulled RAR. So if you've got a RAR and you've just started out the game, you're on floor 30, floor 40, and you're still pushing up to that 60 to 90 mark, Icarus is actually fantastic because he is going to be applying Blaze onto the targets, and he hits still pretty hard, right? And the cool thing about him, he's able to stack his own attack up to 3 times. There's a 20% attack stack, as you can see, and placing Sharpen onto himself, which raises his critical damage stat and strong hit damage by 5%. So he's all about nuking, and when he nukes, I am telling you, he nukes very hard. But you can definitely replace this hero later down the road with much better clearers, including some of the starter heroes. So that's why I wouldn't recommend going so hard on him, but he is super fun and he is viable for a Blaze team strategy. So apart from that, use him as food, or you can use him as a imprint fodder, because he actually has a good imprint for Blaze based teams. So Vlok Dalak, the next one I really want to talk about. This guy, this shadow shifter, the wolf man himself from Varash, the new faction, well, I said new faction, but the Dracula faction, right, from Transylvania and so on. This is really cool. This guy I would use for food 9 times out of 10. And the only time I would honestly use Vlok Dalak if you don't own an Achilles, because Achilles is a really good bleed stacker, as many people are starting to realize, and as I have been honestly telling people in my live streams from the beginning of this wave to obviously now, placing bleed is massive. And the fact that you can place 2 stacks of bleed very consistently with a good retaliation build or counterattack build means this Vlok Dalak can actually do a good job, and that is 10 stacks of bleed, keep them stacks of bleed up and kill the boss, right? That is what you want him to use for. Apart from that, I'm going to be real with you guys, I would use him as a bit of cannon fodder. His abilities are cool. He can lock down cores, lock down ultimates, and he has this despair and has a 50% chance to place vulnerable on the target, making that bleed do even more damage. So he is a good choice as a replacement for an Achilles if you don't own him. But if you own Achilles, it's sad to say that, honestly, you need to remove this guy just because it's better and quicker and faster to obviously get 3 stacks of bleed on an attack with a 50% chance than it is to have 2 stacks of bleed with a 40% chance. So that's kind of the way you want to look at it. That's how I looked at it in game. And Kate Sif is kind of the same here. This really good little kitty that you're able to get, the Veiled Terror, is actually not a bad hero in 2 scenarios. If you want to try, and I mean try, get your bounty as high as possible, she should definitely be in the team if you're able to do so. And that is only because she is one of the only few heroes, because there is a few more that do it, but she's one of the only few heroes that attacks one enemy 3 times. So you get 3 instants of bounty triggers on the Golden Golem, meaning the higher bounty you get, yes, the more gold we're going to get at the end. So this is actually a really good little thing that you can think of with Kate Sif. And apart from that, the only thing I absolutely adore about this hero, and I used it in my 150 team and stuff, is her passive. The fact that we can actually put a 10% increased accuracy, and the hero we have it on gains Vanish 2. So if you put this on stuff like Mordred or Percival, and they're not the fastest in the turn order, and there's an enemy that does, you're not as scared of them dying to a single attack. They have to have the area of effect skill, otherwise we're safe. And if we're safe, guess what? We're placing that accuracy down, we're placing that confuse, we're placing whatever we need to place down onto him. If it's a freeze, if it's a stun, you name it. So really like Shadow Prowess. I would recommend this imprint for Scatter users, Mordred users, and Percival users. Now, Minotaur, I'm going to be honest, I didn't use him at all. He's literally my main food. So anytime I saw Minotaur here, I just ate him up, literally. The Maze Beast is a cool little guy. Yeah, he's got some really interesting things. He can play a 1 stack of bleed, or if you pair him up with an Emotep and you get the Stalwart buff on him, guess what? You can place 2 stacks of bleed. But why do that? That's extra effort. I need to use 2 heroes now to get 2 stacks of bleed. So that's why Vlok Dalak is just better in my eyes, even though with a lower chance. And even his imprint, it's okay to increase that chance of strong hitting by 10% while you're at full divinity. Really good for actually the Icarus we talked about earlier. But apart from that, I'm not a big fan of this. I just think there's better imprints that you can be using, but it's an okay early game choice if you've got nothing better. That's the best way I'm going to be free with it. However, Bork, the Danish bears, I'm going to call him, because it's how dogs kind of speak in Denmark. Bork, right? So this is a cool little bear. He's okay. He does some really interesting things for everyone. You can pause the video at any point if you want, just to read these skills a little bit more. But what is powerful is the imprint. The imprint enables people like Skadi, even people like your Achilles, anyone that wants to apply a disable, acid, bleed, or blaze effect, basically anyone that wants to do those things off their core, well, off their basic ability, that is what this is for. Because you can now technically attack anyone with a Skadi, get a freeze down. Guess what? If they attack you, you can attack back and freeze down that guy again. So that's 2 freezes off just one thing, right? So I really do think this is an underrated passive imprint that you can actually put on many different crowd control heroes that rely on that basic ability for the crowd control. Really, really good heroes. So those are the 5 kind of food imprinting, kind of trashish heroes that I didn't really use, and I mainly use them as food tokens to feed to the stronger and better heroes, which include stuff like Lady Shock. This is one of the starter heroes. She is fantastic, especially all the way up to about stage 120. That's just because she does really good damage, really big damage. But the issue you start to find with Lady Shock is she is a little bit selfish. And what I mean by that is when we look at this hero, she does bleed and she does a great AoE, and yes, it hits very, very hard, but she only heals herself for the damage inflicted. When you look at her ultimate, you attack all enemies 2 times, and if the enemy is defeated, you place a speed up 2 on this hero for 2 turns, and you reduce the core ability by 1. It's a little bit too selfish for me, and yes, some people will like this. It makes her and Ramses with just this ultimate and A2 very fast at clearing waves. She's really good at clearing waves because of that, and she offers you bleed too. But I didn't like her that much because of that. The actual real power after this is her imprint again, and not saying she is a bad hero, because she's not a bad hero. I think she's better than the other 5 heroes we've used before, and I used her in wave 1 quite extensively. But increasing the damage you deal to people inflicted by bleed is insane, and this is stacking up to basically 20% extra damage, because you can put 10 extra bleed stacks. That's kind of nuts when you look at an Achilles that has a 30% increased damage dealt when he's awakened 5, and now he's getting another 20% from here, and that's not including adding like Dracula's weapon, Bloodsworn, to give him another 15% on top. It's kind of disgusting, and if you've not guessed it, yes, that is going to be my strategy for the Fafnir boss damage. So I've kind of spoiled it on here, but it is what it is for those guys that are looking for it. But yeah, super powerful imprint. So you get a hero here that I would consider really good early game and transitions into a really good imprint mid to late game. So I honestly feel like she gets a use everywhere. And like I said, if you want to keep her as a wave clearer, she's great. Just like our good friend Ramses, the other starter hero that you get to choose from. This is a really good guy. He does a ton of damage as well, and what's even cooler about him, he applies acid, which is super powerful, because at the start of each turn, this acid proc will trigger, which deals 5% of the maximum HP of damage to the enemy, and it deals double the damage against shields and barriers, which is really important, because honestly, this type of hero is what you're going to need to beat Heimdalls, to beat the Brynhilds, and to be even technically Tristan and other heroes like Isis that all can place shields on the teams, because this guy is going to deal so much damage, even with his A2 and his A3, his core and ultimate abilities, to absolutely nuke through them. So as I've kind of said with the other hero, Lady Shock, this guy is an absolute wave clearer machine. And I would put him a step above Lady Shock, just even on a numbers basis. He just has way higher numbers compared to Lady Shock, and he's doing a much better effect too, which is even crazier if you ask me. So I honestly really like this guy. Super powerful, much better wave clearer, and much faster than Lady Shock, and both of them are really good, and just the same as Lady Shock for other people that are looking for just something, nothing major, but something with spare Ramseses. Yeah, you get a nice 10% damage increase to enemies under acid as an imprint, so you can definitely use this stuff on like Hercules as an early game buff until you find a better one, right? Until you find that better imprint to replace it on. So definitely worth it. However, the all-star hero in here, in the starters, is Guan Yu. And I'm just going to be honest, and this is a disclaimer right now, if you've watched this part of the video, Guan Yu might not be the best starter hero in Godforge. I'll be honest. But he is the best starter for Caverns. And that is because this is one game mode. We don't know if technically Ramses is going to be a better hero at the start because of PvP. We don't know if Lady Shock's going to be a better hero because of certain other content that these starter heroes are going to excel better than the other, right? So that's one thing to note. However, in the Cavern experience, this guy is the best. Why is he the best starter? Because A, he has phenomenal damage. He does some great damage to the enemies, right? With his AoE and with his skills. But also, compared to the other heroes, he also provides actually sustain. And people don't realize the higher up you get, the drain 2 and the healing and the shielding that you're going to be doing with, for example, a Guan Yu and an Isis and a Heimdall, or a Brynhild, and all these different gods that you could be using in a nice trifecta of a team, he is going to be that kind of bread and butter to kind of finish the glue off, just because Drain 2 is going to allow anyone to heal 20% of the damage they deal onto that target. It's great. It's so great. So honestly, fantastic little skill here, and 20% extra damage, which I'd forgotten. And on top of that, it enables him, which is what is probably the best part of Guan Yu now, to deal maximum HP. So if you have that Drain 2 onto the target, and then you attack the target with your core ability, with your basic ability here, you're gonna be able to do 5% max HP, which means in 20 turns, that target's dead, because you're doing 5% of their maximum HP every time. And that's just in case, you know, or without them healing, right? So just think, if you're able to do more damage in between that, it's going to shorten it down from 20 turns to 15 turns to 12 turns to 10 turns, right? You can kind of see why this is good. And that honestly makes Guan Yu an all-star. He's the best rare starter to kill Fafnir with and to kill the Golden Guardian with. He is easily the best one from all of these reasons, from the drain, from the maximum HP, even from the AoE for him. And what's really good, which I didn't really mention with the food heroes, but I will mention with these guys, Guan Yu, your Ramses, and your Lady Shock here basically can be built the exact same way as your Zeus is built, which is basically damage. You basically want to build them, as you can see, with as much attack as you can, with as much crit percentage to hit the 100% crit cap, and then finally as much crit damage and speed, because that means you can act first, and if you act first and you kill a target, well, if they're dead, they're not doing anything. And as we saw on the channel, the best defense is a better offense. I'm just saying, the best offense is the best defense. I'm just saying, right? So if you're able to kill them, you're good as golden. So this is kind of an idea on what you want to build item-wise or stat-wise for your main DPS. So let's move on to the next set of rare heroes, which are all of these guys at the top. And what we're going to discuss is what I'm going to consider the support and the defenders of this, because there is some really good, obviously, rare defenders and healers that you need to use. Arguably, Isolde. If you've not used Isolde at all, or if you've used her and you really think she's underwhelming, it's most likely because you're building her incorrectly. The thing is, this hero, when you first look at her on paper, you'll see that you're able to place mend, attack one enemy, obviously, and then this is kind of cool, right? We get to heal our allies, we're able to attack up and defense up our allies, and we're able to increase the turn meter and remove debuffs, which is, again, pretty good as a hero. But the healing of Isolde is these passives, as you can see, right? I do have two on. That is just because the gear that I've got on her here at the moment was on someone else that could use it. So that's why it's only there. However, her passive is super powerful, because whenever an ally defender is attacked, you heal all allies by 5% of the hero's max HP. So that means if you're playing with an Isolde, you need to build her just like my Isis, because Isis here has over 47,000 HP, and because she has super high HP, just like Isolde, the shield that she provides is based on that. It's 20%. So you want to build as much health points as you can on your healer, especially on Isolde. Otherwise, your heals are going to be like 200, 300, 400 instead of the 1,000-2,000s that you can easily be achieving if you build her correctly. And by doing this, as you guys have guessed it, you're going to need to pair up with defenders. And in the rare slot, you get 3 defenders that are all really good for different reasons. You get Hippolyta. Hippolyta, a fantastic defender that you can combo with Olympian-based teams. So if you do have Icarus, you can combo Icarus with Hippolyta and deal an absurd amount of damage there with just this little mini combo there. You can also put her with, obviously, Zeus to do a bunch of damage too. But what's really good about this hero, just like our Isolde, she places a shield on allies, then places a ward on all allies, and speed up 1 on all allies from Olympus, right? And what that is the shield is a HP-based shield. So you can get 2 heroes now, fully massive on HP, and because you're building so much HP on your Hippolyta for the shield, if you're a smart person, and you might be guessing where I'm going with this, yes, you can put on an Isolde imprint, and guess what? We have a defender here that is shielding everyone, and that is healing 2.5% of their maximum HP to everyone on top. And that is an insane amount of sustain from just 2 heroes. And the thing is, if you don't want to go down this route because you don't like the fact that you're building HP, and you don't like the fact that here, when you're attacking enemies, you're doing these joint attacks, and you don't like the fact that you're increasing your own defense and placing a defense one up to make all of this hero even more tanky, if you don't like that, you can go for Tristan. And Tristan, as I will always say, is the best hero with Isolde. And that is because they are designed to work with each other. They buff each other up if they're in the same team. But the fact is, Tristan also puts a hench shield on allies. But for someone new, like yourself, that's watching this video, it is easier to build this because now, instead of building HP, you're building defense. So this is a lot easier to gear for because now you're looking for only 1 hero with HP gear. Your second hero's got defense gear. You're not looking for 2 sets of 4 max HP gear to make it work. So this is like a really good alternative if you wanted to go down this route. It's a lot easier to build too. And again, you just need as much defense as possible to get this shield rolling. And an icing on top, or cherry on top, should we say, on the cake, is the fact that Tristan here also provides Radiance, which reduces and reflects 10% of the damage back. Radiance 2 is on the Isolde when you put her in the team, so that's where the 20% is shown here. So you can see already those 2 heroes are absolutely bonkers with the Isolde, and Shishi finishes that. If you put Shishi, Tristan, and Hippolyta with Isolde, I'm going to tell you right now, this team will never die. It will never die. And what's really good is, with Shishi, only in Alpha Wave 3 this is, you don't want to awaken this hero. And I know it sounds crazy, but you don't. Because you're going to lose out on a ton of damage. Because when you awaken this hero, any Tians that allies will join the attack doesn't work. Same with if an ally from the Tian then buff, it cannot be removed. Both of these do not work, and it stops even the defender side of his kit working, which is on his A2 on his core skill, which is when he attacks an enemy, he increases his own defense, and he then gets all the defenders to join in the attack. So he's actually one of the major DPS choices in the full defender team that you're running. And you can do really cool things with him too, like running stuff with Sphinx. So if Sphinx and Shishi attack together, you can guess, boom, 1 big hit, massive area of effect from Sphinx, and it is a match made in heaven. Also, Shishi, compared to the other heroes that you saw, actually provides an attack down 1 for 2 turns. So this is a very powerful to, again, put the attack down 1 buff on stuff like the Golden Guardian, so then you don't take as much damage potentially, and hopefully you can survive that ultimate and progress through the next set of floors. So all 3 of these heroes, all 3 defenders that we've just spoke about, is going to be built just like my good old friend Heimdall here. Obviously, you want to get better stats than mine. Mine were just okay for what I needed it for, but you're going to be trying to get that defense as high as possible, apart from for Hippolyta, which is going to be wanting as much HP as possible, right? So there we go. We've gone through so far all of what I'm going to consider the food heroes right? We've gone through all the food heroes. So that's going to be your Bork, your Minotaur, your Kate, your Vlokdalak, and your Icarus. We've gone through all of the starter heroes, which is Lady Shock, Ramses, and Guan Yu. And then we've just gone through arguably the healing and the defender formation, which many people use, which is Isolde, Hippolyta, Tristan, as well as Gigi, right? So we've gone through all of them. So there's only a few heroes remaining, and these heroes are basically utility-based heroes that are massively impactful in the right rare teams as you're building up. So the first one, Skadi, absolutely bonkers. She is the best crowd controller in the rare category. She has an A1 that can freeze a target. And again, if you're able to combo this with maybe an Hippolyta to get a random ally to join and she joins, you get 2 chances of freezing down potentially 2 different targets, which is quite nice. You also get a freeze on her A2, which is the core ability, attacks 3 random enemies and has a 50% chance that freeze on each target, and you increase the accuracy by 5% each time you land a freeze from this ability. That is key. This is allowing you to lock down multiple enemies, then to join attack, and then maybe lock down the final enemy, right? So Skadi, if you've not guessed it, and you can check out my live stream replays, especially from the 140 ups, I was using Skadi a lot. I was using Skadi with even Mordred, and I was swapping both of these heroes out when I needed to lock down either an entire wave or to keep locking down one specific hero, because that was the troublemaker for my team. And this could be one thing you might be struggling with. You might be struggling with actually pushing through floors because you haven't got any crowd control. So don't sleep on her. She's really good, and she can even provide a speed down just to add icing again on the cake and cherry on top with it all, right? So absolutely fantastic rare hero. I can't speak any more about her apart from making a full guide, which I aim to do. Then we've got Ankensenamun. I want to say Ankensenamun. I'm really bad at pronouncing her name, and I know Chloe will be laughing because we had a chat about it, and she even said, no, it's pronounced, and she said how it's pronounced in the Alpha Chat VC, and it made us all laugh because it's from a movie that we all know and love, right? But I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. Don't shout at me. But this hero is a really good utility-based hero too. She's able to put initiative up, which is going to allow you to ult more often. But the real power of this hero is her actual core and her ultimate combo, because you're able to remove debuffs and disables from all allies, which is very key, because if you're able to resist as much as you can with her, she's enabling your team to actually cook, which is really good. But what's even better is the fact that you're able to extend random buffs and, you guessed it, place a 20% shield on your entire team too. So this is a fantastic hero. I absolutely loved as well through these stages, because if you're running an Awakened 5 Isolde, or anyone for that matter, that puts on an attack up, a defense up, I don't know, anything, just any sort of buff, Radiance, right? Anything, Ward, we can keep going, right? There's loads. Any of these buffs, guess what? They're getting 2 of those buffs extended. And that is just so powerful, because what it enables you to do as a player is to extend the duration of the buff so the next rotation keeps going. And you should, in theory, be able to keep your uptime on your buffs basically almost 100%. It's not going to be guaranteed, but it should be almost 100%, and that is disgusting, especially when you're constantly defensing up, constantly attacking up, and killing enemies, and obviously tanking. So really powerful hero here that you do not want to ignore. And even her imprint is good, placing a reflect on an ally for 2 turns when they fall below 50%. It's a good early game imprint that you can be putting on many of the other heroes in game. And mentioning that, one thing I did forget to say, and I do apologize, I bet you guys are probably screaming in the comment section, Hippolyta's imprint as well, really good. You can actually put this on anything. So if you put it on for a Guan Yu, any Tian now are all buffed. So that's great. If you go and put it on A Zeus, you don't do that, but I'm just hypothetically, all the Olympians are going to do it, just like her. If you put it on Dracula, your Vlok, your Maria, all of these, again, all get buffed up. So this is a really good passive if you need defense in your team and you want to just, like, again, put it on someone early on to use to get you there into the later stages. So I forgot about that. I do apologize to everyone who mentioned that probably in the comment sections by now. Now, to carry on though, where we were, it's going to be Tutankhamun, below Ankh, right? Tutankhamun, I love. He is the guy, if you picked Ramses as your starter hero, honestly put Tutankhamun with him and just start laughing at the amount of damage they deal. Because the thing is with this hero, what many people don't realize is all of his attacks apply curse. So attacks have a 20% chance to place curse 1 on the target for 3 turns. And curse 1 reduces healing by 25% and 25% chance to block revives, which means those Isis, those Isoldes, Quetzalcoatl, Shamash, Hercules, anyone that's going to either revive or, as you guessed it, heal, this is actually making your job infinitely better because you're actually reducing so much of that healing down that you could actually go and cut through all of the damage that they're basically mitigating for your team. And what's even better about this is even though you're applying this 20% of the time with your attacks, well, guess what? His attacks have a 50% chance to extend the duration of curse. It also has a chance of doing it to your acid. You also have a 50% chance to place acid on all targets that are under the curse effect. That's bonkers. It is bonkers on how much this hero does for a really good acid-based team. And he also attacks one enemy 2 times, which is great again for a double hitter. Place an acid on them, and if they have that curse ability, guess what? You also have a 30% chance to place vulnerable, making your acid do more. So honestly, Tutankhamun, Ramses, super perfect little synergy combo that you could be definitely running early game, and you can see why from the acid and technically vulnerable and curse combo that all of these guys do. So I wouldn't sleep on him. You'll be realizing from stages 1 to 90, Tutankhamun is going to do a lot of work for you, and you're probably looking for someone to replace him as an epic hero or better later down the road. From here now, we've got Shinigami. And Shinigami, and I want to shout out to the main man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. He knows his name. It's the Sage Meister who has the plan with Shinigami. And I will tell you, I loved Shinigami in Wave 1 and Wave 2, but Sage took it to the next level and actually used a Shinigami and I believe Guan Yu combo to complete all 150 floors, and that is including stages 140 to 150, because Shinigami is overlooked for all the wrong reasons. Yes, he can deal some great damage. Let's be honest, he can. He can deal some sick damage. But Shinigami provides so much utility to your team. He either closes down fights or he enables fights to end, and that is super important. And what we mean by that is 2 things. He first can destroy maximum HP, which is great, because A, if he destroys your maximum HP against an Isis team or like a Shamash team, and they revive and heal back up to full, even though that full HP bar is green, it's less, because you've been cutting that down and down and down because of this ability, which is really good. You can also steal Phoenix, so if any of them are going to have a revive ability on, you're stealing that because you are the god of death. You have got the death note, you've got Light Yagami on speed dial with your Shinigami, and you're telling him, bro, cut this guy out, boom, and they're getting deleted, right? The cool thing about this, though, is he's A2 now. His A2 puts a defense down 1, which is allowing your Guan Yu, your Ramses, your Beowulf, Gilgamesh, Zeus, Pangu, you name it, any good damage dealer in the game to do, you guessed it, 20% better, because it's reducing their stats by 20% on their defense, and that is fantastic. And to icing on the cake with our good boy Shinigami, Hex. And I know many of you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck? What's Hex? because you probably haven't seen it, because you probably don't use it, because it's not on any of the meta heroes. Well, Hex says whenever you deal damage to a target with Hex on, 5% of that damage received is spread across, and it is halved with area of effect damage, but that doesn't matter. If you can do 50,000 damage, that's a lot of damage to put across everyone else for free. And what that enables you to do with a lot of combos, and especially stuff with Zeus, Guan Yu, and vice versa, you can single target nuke one enemy, which lowers everyone else. So someone like your Guan Yu, your Ramses, your Gilgamesh can core ability an area of effect and attack all enemies and wipe them off in one go. And that is absolutely insane that you're able to do that. So really powerful little kit here. And to finish it off, to put the cherry now on the cake, as we've been pointing out, he also places when you are killing people, so you get curse 1, drain 1 onto the target, you're able to also banish people. And that is huge, because once you instantly defeat an enemy below 10% HP, you're able to place banish on them, and this means they can't be revived, which is great. You can't be revived, so that stops any shenanigans from Quetzalcoatl, stops any shenanigans from Isis, stops any shenanigans from Shamash or Hercules. So again, really cool little hero here. I would not sleep on this guy. You might be surprised on certain flaws if you've got a good awakened Shinigami that is good with his upgrades and you've actually maxed them all out and you've got the right build. You'd be surprised on what he does. But just a little tip and trick, and I think Sage will agree when I'm about to say this, he's not an easy champ. And what we mean by that is he's kind of a high skill ceiling hero where if you understand what you need to do with him and your team, he's an all-star. But if you have no clue what his role is in your team, he looks terrible. He looks trash and you don't ever want to use him. So just remember that when you try him out maybe for the first time and you're not impressed about our good man Shinigami here, right? So now we get to the final hero, and this is, I'm going to call you now, the secret hidden gem of Alpha Wave 3, and that is Maria Morevna. And many people might say, Sneakyy, you're talking trash. This hero is really bad. And the thing is, I thought the same in Wave 1 and kind of in Wave 2, but Wave 3 has completely changed my mind, because this hero, for many players, if you're stuck on wave 121 going up to 150 because you are fighting against Heimdalls and you're fighting against Isis and they're always putting on 3, 4, 5, 6 men's on the team and retaliates and defense ups and you name it, radiances, they do everything. They put so many buffs on. Maria Morevna is the secret hidden gem in the game that absolutely makes them look like common heroes. You heard correctly here first. Because the thing is, the power of Maria Morevna is her passive. Increase the damage dealt inflicted by plus 3% for each buff on the target. And the thing is, they can have up to 10 buffs if they really wanted to on them, right? And if they've got 10 buffs, guess what? That's a 30% increase in damage. And that's really relevant because her A2, her core ability, attacks all enemies and ignores shield and barrier. And it's not even a low amount. 320% is a lot of damage, especially when you're ignoring shields and barriers. And you've got a 30% increase in damage. Yes, I will be fair and say you're not going to get 30% all the time. However, even with just 3 buffs, that's a 9% damage increase. 6 buffs is 18%. And just for argument's sake, that is literally letting Heimdall press retaliate and intercept, and an Isis pressing defense up 2 and mend, and that's not including her auto here that might be stealing a buff and applying it to everyone else as well. This is not including using heroes like Aphrodite, that's able to put speed up 2 and initiative 2. This is not including Cuticle, that's able to put speed up 2 here, as well as sharpen, attack up, accuracy up 2. You can kind of see the point here that Maria Marev, if you are stuck against Isis, I'm telling you now, build her with a 4 damage build and you are gonna be cooking. And I mean that. You're gonna be cooking. It's absolutely disgusting. The thing is, she also has attack one enemy with an extra hit if they've got 2 or more buffs. So you're definitely gonna be aiming to kill people with her. Fantastic rare hero. And that, I know it's a long one, but that is every single rare hero talked about, I believe. I think I've done every single rare hero. We've done all the starters. I've done all of the utility heroes. I've done the defenders and the healing formation. And I've talked about the heroes that are used for food or imprints all in one go. So to finish it off, just to give you guys some love, to give you guys some more information, and to hopefully smash that like, hit the subscribe button to obviously make the channel grow up and bigger. Let me just showcase gear, because I think gear will make this a nice little, video to finish things off, and ask you guys, do you want to see a gear guide? What guides do you want to see on the channel? Because I do plan on making some good old hero spotlights so we can see what the hero does, explain the whole kit, and use them in the game, so you can check that out, as well as my own Godforge 101 beginner series and some more fun stuff coming in the future. Let me know what you want to see when it comes into that terms of content. But to finish off the video, like I said, when it comes to gear, any DPS, Guan Yu, Maria, Ramses, Shock, Icarus, any of these heroes want to build similar to this Zeus, which is 100% crit as your main priority, getting high critical damage as well, big priority. But the second main priority is actually getting that speed up, so you can actually go first and nuke down the enemies and then attack. Because obviously if you don't have high attack, you're not killing anything with the crit percent that you've got. So the main stats you care about is crit percent, crit damage, attack, and speed. And you don't need as much speed as me, but I do like to have as much speed as possible just in case any shenanigans gets placed off. For defenders, for Tristan, for your Shishi and other heroes that scale off defense in their abilities, you want to use gear like this. And you'll notice again, I am not using any real set bonuses. All I care about is the sets, not the sets, the stats. I care about the stats, right? So you can see I'm on 3.9k defense. I could easily make this a lot higher too. But again, speed 116, we've got a nice bit of accuracy, and 119 resistance, so we can hopefully keep things going off. Our healers, so again, anyone that's placed a shield like Ankh, or our HP healing from our Isolde, or anyone using an imprint that needs HP 2 like bruisers, you want to use this type of build where it's just maximum HP for them. And if you're using a bruiser, I would recommend getting around 80 to 100% crit too, just because again, you scale damage off your health points and you can crit off that damage too, which is quite a nice 2-for-1 deal, right? Apart from that, everyone else is pretty similar, right? And pretty easy to go for. If you're building like Scally, if you're building any crowd control that does freezes, confusers, and all that jazz, you want to build them similar to my Odin here. You don't need 200 accuracy, even though sometimes it will feel like you're never landing these crowd controls. But I will be honest with you, around 160 to 170 is perfectly fine. However, having between 170 to 190 is what I run. That's what I ran. I ran between 170 to 190 accuracy. And then again, having super high speed is important for anyone like Scary, Percival, Mordred, so they can act first, obviously confuse the enemy targets, and you're golden. So that's going to be it. That's today's video all done. I've gone through every single, let me put it on this screen, every single rare hero in this video, giving you guys my opinion on how you can use them, where they're strong at, who's OP, who's food, and who's got some good imprints for you guys, as we've been kind of going through each one of them as like a full mini review in today's video. And like I said, if you want to see specific hero guides, If you want to see a guide on weapons, a guide on imprint, a guide on boss stages, let me know. Let me know in the comment section down below. I can't make insanely good content without you telling me what you want to see. So until my next video, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.